Fourth round of talks on 12th pay commission of the Tamil Nadu State Transport Corporation employees to be held in Chennai tomorrow. Test run of the new boats for inspection of Mullai Periyar Dam commences even as the water level of the dam rises to 142 feet. Australia win ICC Cricket World Cup 2015 final against New Zealand. The news in detail. The fourth phase of talks on the 12th pay commission of the Tamil Nadu State Transport Corporation employees will be held tomorrow. A committee was formed on the guidance of the People's Chief Ms. Jaya to hold talks on the 12th pay commission of the Tamil Nadu State Transport Corporation employees. Following this, talks were conducted in three phases on the 2nd, 12th and 20th of March respectively at the campus of the Government Transport Corporation's Training Centre in Chennai. The talks conducted during the three phases have witnessed considerable developments. Following this, the fourth round of talks on the salary hike will be held tomorrow. The test run of the new boats purchased on behalf of the Tamil Nadu government for inspection of the Mullai Periyar Dam, the water level of which has been raised to 142 feet in line with the orders of the Supreme Court, commenced today. The General Secretary of AIADMK and the People's Chief Ms. Jaya had taken sustained efforts to raise the water level of the Mullai Periyar Dam, which is the drinking water resource of the people living in the 5 districts of Theni, Dindigul, Madurai, Sivagangai and Ramanathapuram in Tamil Nadu. As a result of the legal battle fought by the People's Chief Ms. Jaya, the Supreme Court gave its nod to raise the water level of the Mullai Periyar Dam to 142 feet from 136 feet. The farmers of the 5 districts of Tamil Nadu, happy over this verdict, conducted a felicitation function and expressed their gratitude to Ms. Jaya. As per the orders of the Apex Code, the Tamil Nadu government had decided to purchase 2 new boats at an estimate of 1 crore rupees to take up the supervision works at the dam site. After the first boat was ready, it was brought to Thekari. Following this, the test run of the boat was conducted from Thekari to Periyar Dam. Those who were present during this test run include the officers of the Public Works Department of Tamil Nadu and technical experts of boat. The officers of PWD said once the Tamil Nadu government gives its sanction, the boat will be used for inspection works. Australia clinched the World Cup for the 5th time, thrashing New Zealand by 7 wickets to provide a perfect farewell gift to skipper Michael Clarke, who played a key role with a 74-run knock in his final one-day international appearance. Michael Clarke hit 74 in his last one-day international to lead Australia to their 5th World Cup title with a 7-wicket win over New Zealand in a disappointing final on Sunday. A record crowd of 93,013 at the Melbourne Cricket Ground saw power-packed Australia bowl out the Black Caps for 183 and then gallop to victory in the 34th over. Clarke, who announced his retirement from the one-day format on the eve of the final, added 112 runs for the 3rd wicket with his likely successor Steve Smith, who returned unbeaten on 56. The emphatic win was set up by the left-arm fast-bowling trio of Marshall Stark, James Faulkner and Marshall Johnson, who shared 8 wickets after the Kiwis elected to bat on a good pitch. New Zealand messed up their maiden appearance in the title clash of cricket's showpiece event, falling like 9 pins against the hostile Australian bowling. Inspirational captain Brendan McCullum fell off the 5th ball of the innings for a duck, and 2 other frontline batsmen, Corey Anderson and Luke Ronchi, also failed to score. South African-born Grant Elliott top scored with 83, sharing a 4th wicket stand of 111 with Ross Taylor after New Zealand had been reduced to 39 for 3 in the 13th over. The massive crowd, which broke the MCG record of 91,112 on the opening day of the Boxing Day Test against England in 2013, saw New Zealand lose their last 7 wickets for 33 runs. New Zealand crumbled after going into the final as the only unbeaten team in the 14-nation tournament, their 8 wins including a 1-wicket success over Australia in a low-scoring pool stage thriller. New Zealand raised hopes of repeating their amazing win in the league when they removed Aaron Finch for a duck in the second over. Trent Boult taking an easy turn catch as the ball lopped off the batsman's bat and pad. The tall opener, who hit a World Cup record score of 237, not out against the West Indies in the quarterfinals, was bowled trying to cut Glenn Maxwell's second delivery. Taylor and Elliott settled in to build a strong partnership and had taken the total to 150 for 3 when the batting power play began after the 35th over. Both sides fielded unchanged teams from their semi-final wins, where Australia beat India and New Zealand downed South Africa in a penultimate ball thriller. Singaporeans bid farewell to longtime leader Lee Kuan Yew today with an elaborate procession and a 3-hour state funeral at which his son, the current Prime Minister, eulogized the statesman and declared that the wealthy city-state he helped build is his monument. Undeterred by heavy rains, tens of thousands of people lined a 15-kilometer route through the city to catch a glimpse of the funeral cortege. Lee's coffin, draped in Singapore's red and white flag and protected from the downpour by a glass casing, lay atop a ceremonial gun carriage that was solemnly led past city landmarks from Parliament to a cultural centre where the state funeral was held. Along the way, crowds of people chanted his name and waved Singapore's flag. 4 howitzers were fired in a nearby field. Air Force fighter jets streaked over the island, with one peeling off in a missing man formation, and Navy patrol ships blasted horns. As the service neared its conclusion, civil defense sirens blared across the island to signal a minute's silence. People flocked to a crematorium where a private cremation was held. Lee was Singapore's Prime Minister for more than 3 decades, ruling with an iron grip until 1990. He is regarded by Singaporeans as the architect of their nation's prosperity and harmonious relations among ethnic Chinese, Malay and Indian populations. Leaders and dignitaries from more than 24 countries attended the funeral. The U.S. delegation was led by former President Bill Clinton. Others included the Prime Minister of India, Japan and Australia. Abroad, India declared a national day of mourning and New Zealand government's flags were at half-stack. The Aam Aadmi Party today removed party's internal Lokpal Admiral as Ram Das and Prashant Bhushan as the Chief of National Disciplinary Committee a day after the latter and senior leader Yogendra Yadav were expelled from the National Executive. At an emergency NE meeting in Delhi, the party removed former Navy Chief Ram Das from the internal Lokpal and set up a new Lokpal panel comprising former IPS officers N. Dilip Kumar and Rakesh Sinha and educationalist S.P. Verma. The AAP National Executive, while sacking Bhushan from the disciplinary committee, decided to replace him by a 3-member panel headed by Dinesh Waghela. The other members are Arvind Kejriwal, loyalist Ashish Khetan and National Secretary Pankaj Gupta. The removal of M. Ramdas came a day after he was sent an SMS asking him not to attend the National Council meeting to avoid confrontation. Miffed over the snub, he then wrote a letter to the Political Affairs Committee criticizing the leadership. The AAP body also announced a committee that will take care of the April 22 agitation against the land acquisition bill when the party plans to garrow Parliament on the issue. The party has also formed a committee under the leadership of senior leader Sanjay Singh to look into expansion of the organization in other states. The Defence Acquisition Council, chaired by Defence Minister Manohar Parrikar, which met yesterday, approved the development of an indigenous airborne warning and control systems by the Defence Research and Development Organisation. The council allocated 5,113 crore rupees for 2 systems based on the A330 aircraft, which will be procured from Airbus. Eventually, 6 systems will be built for use by the Air Force. In all, the DAC cleared deals estimated at 7,400 crore rupees. AWACS are radars mounted on an aircraft to provide seamless 360-degree coverage of the airspace. The Air Force is currently operating 3 Israeli Falcons based on Russian Second 76 aircraft. BEL gets 1,605 crore rupees defense order for radars. The DAC yesterday cleared the procurement of 30 weapon locating radars from Bharat Electronics Limited for 1,605 crore rupees. Defense Ministry officials said the Navy is set to acquire Harpoon anti-ship missiles for its HDW submarines, with the DAC approving certain deviations in the offset requirements for the 22 Harpoon missiles worth 913 crore rupees. The deal was approved last year in a government-to-government deal with the US for around $200 million. Christians around the world marked Palm Sunday by waving fronds, attending church services and visiting sites in the Holy Lands at the start of the Holy Week that ends with Easter. Crowds of faithful gathered in Jerusalem's Church of the Holy Sepulchre, the traditional site of Jesus' crucifixion and resurrection. Many waved the fronds to symbolize how worshippers greeted Jesus over 2,000 years ago as he triumphantly returned to Jerusalem. Later in the day, hundreds of Christian pilgrims marched behind a white donkey from the Mount of Olives to the Holy City, retracing Jesus' traditional route into Jerusalem. Worshippers also gathered in the Nativity Church in Bethlehem, the traditional site of Jesus' birth, clutching olive branches and bouquets as they sung in praise. Starting today, the Christians will observe the next 7 days with lots of religious fervor and will celebrate Easter on April 5. Across the world, in several churches, it was the senior bishops and heads of the various churches who lead the Palm Sunday Mass. The Empire State Building today dimmed its lights and the Eiffel Tower in Paris went dark as iconic landmarks across the world observed Earth Hour, the global climate change awareness campaign. The usually glittering nighttime majesty of the Empire State Building was set to faint sparkle in New York. Millions of people around the world were taking part in the annual Earth Hour organized by conservation group WWF, with a string of well-known sites plunging into darkness globally. The famous Las Vegas Strip went dim, with the replica Eiffel Tower at Paris Hotel turning its light off, along with several hotels and casinos that normally illuminate the main drag in Sin City. Other U.S. West Coast cities marked the occasion by switching off, with the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco going dim and the normally bright Gateway pylons at Los Angeles LAX Airport turned off after being lit in green in honor of the occasion. The year's Earth Hour comes as the French capital prepares to host a crucial UN climate conference in December that will bring together the international community to discuss efforts to limit global warming. In Taiwan, the lights went off on the Taipei 101 Tower, the world's tallest building, before it was overtaken by Dubai's Burj Khalifa, while in Kuala Lumpur, the usually dazzling Petronas Twin Towers were dark. Earth Hour took place from 8:30 p.m. local time and encourages citizens, communities, business and organizations to switch the lights off for an hour to highlight the plight of the planet. The initiative began in Sydney in 2007 but quickly went global. Government is likely to decide tomorrow whether to continue prepaid mobile phone services in Jammu and Kashmir, Assam and other northeastern states beyond March 31st. If a decision is not taken within next 2 days, about 33 million subscribers may be affected. A high-level committee headed by Union Home Secretary L.C. Goyal will deliberate on the issue on Monday, where a final decision on whether to continue the prepaid service in the regions is expected to be taken, highly placed sources said. The Home Ministry is expected to give its nod to continue the prepaid mobile services in the three circles of Jammu and Kashmir, Assam and Northeast, with some riders that include restrictions on some frontier pockets and sensitive areas where there are presence of militant groups. A few norms could also be added in the existing subscriber verification process. Currently, telecom companies offering GSM and CDMA technology platform have permission to continue the service in these sensitive regions till March 31st. In 2009, the Department of Telecom had banned prepaid mobile phone services in these regions, citing national security grounds. The ban was withdrawn the next year, but the department tightened the verification process for new customers and ordering re-verification of existing subscribers.